Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here. I recorded a video last week for the mid-July energy and astrology update. And that video focused mainly on the conjunction of planet Uranus and fixed star Agol. And then also, more importantly, Mars coming along and joining this alignment, which is a once in a lifetime event, by the way, where Mars will actually align like this with both Uranus and Agol. We will not see this again. Now go back and definitely listen to that video if you have not already done so, because it is filled with insights and information that you're going to want to know. Now, I want to just say before we get into this, none of that video or any part of that reading was meant to fearmonger. I do not do that. And if you follow me, you know that. That is not the purpose of why I put out these energy updates and I do these readings. I do this because I feel that forewarned is forearmed. And when you are armed with the knowledge of what is going on in the skies at a deeper level and how that can translate energetically for us down here, and then even more so if you understand your personal astrology, it makes even more sense. That is why I do this, because I want you to be aware, because it can help you just move through your days a little bit differently, and that can help you avoid any potential negativities and or pitfalls. Of course, we can't always do that, but it's like having an umbrella in case it rains, right? That is the purpose of me giving you these energy updates. And so when I place a lot of emphasis on something, you know that I am doing so because intuitively I'm also feeling that this could be quite significant. So anyway, definitely go back and listen to that video. I'll link it right below in the comments. It also incorporates the Capricorn full moon that we have taking place on July 21st, which is the closeout of a two-part story, a karmic story that began sometime in June, and then also even going further back. And don't forget that you can always download your birth chart right on my website. I also have a 3-part tutorial that shows you how you can locate certain energies in your birth chart so that you can follow along easier and see how this can all potentially impact your life, your birth chart. Now, I tend to stay away from anything political, okay? I always say I'm politically neutral. I'm obviously very aware of what goes on in the world, but I look at politics from a spiritual perspective. I always have. I feel like it is really all about us, the people, that we have to stick together, that we have to be discerning and trust what we feel. Forgetting about labels, forgetting about what people are saying, it's about what we feel, okay? That's how I look at it. So having said that, I just want to state that anything that I say and anything that I show in these birth charts I'm about to go through is very objective. Please know that. Again, if you follow me, you know that I stay away from politics. I don't talk about it. However, when it comes to astrology, because I am an astrologer and I do study the stars, I also study how they impact birth charts, obviously. For teaching purposes, I like to show people how energies can play out or how we can see that what is going on in the sky, the way that it mimics what can be going on down here. Again, it's about potential, it's about probability, and it's about possibility. I'll also tell you what I feel. But again, it's coming from a very objective and neutral space. I want to be very, very clear about that, all right? So having said that, I think you probably already know whose birth charts I'm going to pull up. Now remember, I am showing you the Mars-Uranus-Agol conjunction that is already in effect right now. Today, as I record this video, it is July 10th. Uranus entered the 26th degree of Taurus on July 7th. Agol, fixed star Agol, is at 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, fixed star Agol is fixed, okay, for a reason. It doesn't really move. Fixed stars really don't move, okay? It takes years and years and years for them to move even a half of a degree. So fixed star Agol is at 26 degrees, okay? Uranus just got to the 26th degree of Taurus back on July 7th and will be at that 26th degree until August 7th. Now, fixed star Agol, and again, I go into all of this in much more detail back in the video that I've linked below. But fixed star Agol is not a fortunate star. It is actually deemed one of the more unfortunate stars in the heavens. It's also known as the blinking demon star or the demon star. Agol sits in the constellation of Perseus in the decapitated head of Medusa. So Agol is associated with decapitation, with violence, with hanging, with misfortune in general. Also electrocution. Now, does that mean that any of these things are going to happen under this energy? No, it doesn't. However, metaphorically speaking, it could just lend to one or more unfortunate series of events. This is the kind of energy where we can see people getting knocked off of their throne. disempowered, something coming out of nowhere. Uranus, planet Uranus, it's all about shock and disruption and chaos and change. Also, positively speaking, it can be about freedom and liberation. So let's not go naturally negative. However, it's unexpected, it's chaotic, it's disruptive. So we've got Uranus, the planet of disruption and change and chaos, currently in Taurus, the sign that rules over finances, food, and the weather, just to name a few. But more than that, Taurus is a sign that always seeks stability. Uranus is anything but stable, okay? So we've got a planet that's really not that stable in a sign that really just craves stability, okay? Lined up with a very unfortunate star. So again, unexpected events, things that we don't see coming, or maybe we do. Things that might be surprising, or maybe they're not. But at any rate, that's part of the energy we're under. Then we have the planet Mars. Mars is currently at 21 degrees of Taurus as I am recording this video, moving towards that 26 degree. We have to remember that when planets are approaching, they're at their strongest, they're at the height of their power. And the closer and closer they get to that exact degree, the more powerful they become. The world stage is heating up. And if you are a person that has strong Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, and even more specifically, any points or placements between 24 and 28 degrees of any of those signs, you're likely heating up your energy, for better or worse. Again, I go into much more detail in that video linked below. But now we've got Mars, the planet, the red hot planet that is deemed the god of war. Mars is pure energy. Mars is impulsive. Mars takes action. And Mars can at times be aggressive because Mars rules over our own energy levels and our aggression. So now we have Mars in Taurus, the bull, moving towards this alignment with Uranus and Agol. So Mars is like the flame that's being thrown into an already lit fire. Think of it that way, metaphorically speaking. And again, we are not ever going to have this alignment again, once in a lifetime. So this could definitely lend to impulsive fighting, impulsive, eruptive energy, unexpected events that take people down. Now, again, I'm talking about on the world stage right now, okay? It also could just simply be change. Now, I'm going to pull up the first chart. Remember, politically neutral. I'm objective. This is just for astrological purposes, okay? Here we have Donald Trump. This is his exact birth data. I've looked at this chart many times for teaching purposes. So I just want to show you. This is his chart, okay? This is not what's going on in the sky right now. This is his chart, which is static. This will not change. Okay, look. We see here that he's got his sun at 22 degrees of Gemini. The 10th house is the house in the birth chart that rules over career, public image, reputation. It's also fame and success. So his sun in Gemini, which is his energy, his ego, his essence, his life force, falls in the sign of Gemini, which is very communicative, very expressive, and can sometimes be manipulative to get what it wants. We've got the sun in Gemini right here in the 10th house. Very fitting. The sun conjunct the north node in Gemini, which means, yes, I'm meant to be in the public eye in some capacity. That is a part of my karmic calling in this lifetime. I will be speaking publicly, Gemini. It's all right here. And we've got Uranus at 17 degrees Gemini, triple conjunction here. Sun, north node, Uranus. This is an individual who cannot be tamed. We know this. Especially when it comes to his mouth. Gemini, words. He has a way with words, right? For better or worse. And he's known for that. Now, if you shoot across the chart, the south node is in Sagittarius, conjunct his moon in Sagittarius, which again, Sagittarius in Gemini is the axis of education. It's the axis of teaching and learning. But more than that, the south node in Sagittarius says that this individual also came here to learn as much as they came here to speak and to teach. I don't want to use other words here, but as much as they learn to talk, they also must learn to listen. They're not always right, but they kind of come in here thinking that they are. Again, objective here, I'm just reading the chart, just reading the energy. Now, fixed star Agol is very close to a very sensitive angle of the birth chart known as the midheaven, the middle of the heavens, okay? So his midheaven's at 22 degrees of Taurus. The midheaven starts the 10th house here, and the midheaven again is the public image, the reputation, the legacy, what you're known for, what you're going to do in this lifetime. And we have fixed star Agol just a few degrees away from his midheaven. Now, again, I don't want to predict anything negative happening to anyone. I don't want to put that out there. And again, it can be metaphorical, but we know people are consistently taking this person down or attempting to at all corners. Now look at his Mars, okay? Mars in his birth chart is at 26 degrees of Leo. and he's a Leo rising, and Mars is basically on his ascendant. So again, Leo rising. This is a person who, speaks his mind. He also has red hair, which is also, by the way, fun fact, a very common trait of Leo rising individuals, a reddish hue to their hair. Not always, just throwing it in there because the ascendant talks about our physicality, our physical characteristics, our looks, our energy. So Leo rising is like, hear me, I'm here, hear me roar, the lion. I don't want to use this word, but I just keep getting they dictate, okay? And that came to me before, didn't say it, but I'm going to say it because that's what's coming through to me as I look at this chart. So we've got Mars here. This is a person, Mars in the 12th, we could say, is a position where somebody holds in anger and or animosity because it's in the 12th house, but because it is so close to his ascendant, he doesn't really have the capacity to hold back. It's kind of like a loose cannon at times, right? We know this. And it's in Leo. So it's very expressive, says what it feels, straight out of the heart, for better or worse, really doesn't care what people think. And then Pluto in the 12th also, there's sometimes a darkness attached to that, or at least it appears that way. In a lot of cases, I would think that this is a person who's pretty upfront with how they feel. Whether they're nice or they're not, they're going to let you know, for better or worse. All right, I don't want to do a whole entire chart reading on him, but this is significant, the points that I'm pulling in. Now watch this. This outer wheel represents the transits right now. This is what's happening in the sky right at this moment as I am recording this video. Okay, so first of all, look at Uranus elevated here at the 26th degree of Taurus and fixed star Agol at the 26th degree of Taurus in his 10th house. Again, public image, career, reputation, what is going on out there in the world for him, his fame, okay? His notoriety, let's just say. Very public. So we have this freight train energy in his 10th house. Public, public, public. We already know there's been a lot going on with him, okay? So we know this. But again, this energy is approaching. Now here's Mars. Mars just passed over his midheaven. Now, and I don't know because to be honest, I don't watch the news. So I'm not sure if anything transpired today. But I wouldn't be surprised if it has or if it's about to, particularly over this next week. But we've got Mars here at 23 degrees, getting ready to align not only with Agol in his birth chart in the 10th house, so it's going to pass over that, but then it's going to line up exact with Uranus and Agol by transit in his 10th house. Now, just another thing to mention, Jupiter's up here at 10 degrees of Gemini, and his Uranus is 17 of Gemini. So Jupiter conjunct Uranus can also be unexpected expansion of certain energies, things happening, things coming in that change the trajectory of things, okay? It's Uranus. Well, we don't know which way that's going to go, right? Because there's always this element of surprise. But here's where it gets really sticky. His natal Mars, 26 degrees of Leo. You see that? When Mars gets to 26 degrees, which will be July 15th. In fact, let me pull this ahead to the 15th. Okay, so we see on July 15th, we've got this triple conjunction, this triple threat here. Uranus at 26, Agol at 26, Mars at 26 Taurus. His Mars is 26 of Leo. That's a perfect square, okay? And it's very close to his ascendant at 28. So, okay, there's a lot I don't like about this for him because the 12th house also talks about secret enemies, people working against us behind the scenes. So he has Venus transiting this part of his chart right now. So we don't know. We're also talking about violent energy, disruptive energy. It's linked with, again, dethroning and beheading. Not to say that will literally happen, but it's quite possible that something or someone can come out of nowhere and try to take this person down in a very unexpected way that could be very public. Or another way this can transpire, perhaps he himself has some form of a health issue. We're dealing with Mars, that's blood pressure. Leo is the heart. Maybe all of this stress is getting to him and there's some sort of public display of health trouble. Again, I don't wish any of this on anybody. I'm just speaking what's here. But either way, this is, pretty volatile energy. Let's not forget that his Mars in the 12th is opposite the 6th house of health, and Pluto just entered that 6th house of health at 1 degree of Aquarius. And again, Pluto entering the health house. That could also be somebody fixing their health or totally transforming their health. So let's look at the positive side. But looking at this in conjunction with everything else going on, this could also indicate a health scare, a health issue, something that's public, or somebody doing something to him publicly. But But I just thought that that was fascinating when I looked at this, because we've got this triple conjunction. We've got everything going on right now politically, and it's exactly square his Mars. Now remember, square aspects, in case you don't know this, square aspects are 90-degree aspects between signs, between energies. And they're tense. They're very tense. They're karmic. And we're talking about fixed energies, Taurus and Leo. So they're stubborn. They're not easy to shift. They're just very tense. And when we're dealing with Mars and Uranus, that's explosive. When we're dealing with Algol, okay, that's unfortunate. So again, let's hope, I never wish bad on anybody, right? So let's just hope that it doesn't play out that way. But again, I would be shocked if we don't hear something along the lines of what we just talked about. Again, we're talking about his body. We're talking about his, his physical health, his mental health, his public, everything that, something is here, okay? It could also be something unexpected that turns around to be positive for him. Again, hey, maybe something happens to his opponent. And that's the unexpected. Okay, speaking of which, let's go and pull up that chart now. Here we have Joe Biden. This is also very interesting. But I'm going to explain to you why I think this is more about Trump than I do about Biden, at least right now. It doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. So this is his birth chart. This is static. This doesn't ever change. Note the prominent Sagittarius placement for Biden as well. He's got Sagittarius rising, and Trump has a Sagittarius south node. Sagittarius is also a sign that's very much connected to the law and to politics, just FYI. A lot of politicians, when you look at their charts, have strong Sagittarius, just as an aside. But we've got Joe Biden, Scorpio sun, 27 degrees, in the 12th house, the house of the hidden, which is really quite interesting because typically people with a 12th house sun don't always love to be in the public eye, especially Scorpio. And this, and Mercury's here as well. And Mercury is about how we speak and how we communicate. So, let's be real. It does sometimes seem like this person doesn't necessarily know what they're saying. That could literally be because of their astrology, not because of, but it could also impact it. Let's put it that way. Mercury in the 12th, especially with the sun, I have that conjunction. It's in a different sign, but sometimes it's hard for you to get your words out the way you want to, okay? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of understanding your own nature to be able to communicate or articulate in the way that you want to, in the way that you want it to be received. And so that is something that this person would likely have dealt with their whole entire life. Again, I'm looking at this from a completely objective standpoint. It's also Scorpio, secrets, things we don't want people to know, and also trauma. Now, I do happen to know that this person has undergone some serious trauma throughout childhood and adulthood involving death. Just as an aside, there's all that Scorpio. His Saturn is at 9 degrees of Gemini in his 7th house of others, of partnership. Interestingly enough, our other friend is a Gemini. Saturn is always like a karmic point. It's a lesson for us. And so Saturn people are going to be our greatest teachers in this lifetime. And they are likely a teacher from the previous lifetime if you subscribe to that theory, which I obviously do. So we're looking at a Saturn placement at 9 degrees of Gemini in the area of the chart that speaks to relationships, collaborations, or lack thereof. And our other friend has quite a bit of Gemini, just as an aside. In Joe's chart, fixed star Agol falls in the 6th house of health and daily life, our daily routines, our service. It's opposite the sun, which will count Agol with a 2-degree orb, okay? Normally with fixed stars, you want them to be pretty exact, pretty tight. The most I'll stretch it is 2 degrees. That's most you should stretch it, actually. And some astrologers won't even do that. But Algol's at 25 here in the health house, 6th house of health, service, opposite the 12th house sun at 27 degrees of Scorpio. Again, this is our physical health. This is our emotional health. This is also our spiritual health. So let's look at what's happening right now. So the outer wheel, once again, that's the transits. That's what's going on in the sky right now and how it is impacting this individual's birth chart. This is their transits. Well, look at this. This conjunction is building up to exactitude in the 6th house of health, routines, service. Can go in a couple of different directions, really, for either one of these individuals. And these transits are kind of mimicking each other. But what makes me feel that this might be more about the other individual is the fact that, see, exactitude matters when you're looking at transits. In other words, the closer we get to the exact degree is where the energy really kicks off. So Uranus is at 26 degrees again today. Mars is at 23. In fact, again, let me just move this to the 15th when that conjunction is exact. Okay. So Mars at 26 degrees, conjunct Algol, conjunct Uranus. Okay, fine. In the 6th house of health, service, routines, opposite the 12th house. Now, it's only 1 degree off of his sun. The sun is your vitality, it's your energy, it's your essence, it's your life force in the 12th house. Is there a hidden health issue here that is coming up around this conjunction? Maybe it already is. Furthering the, unexpected element to these transits right now and to the energy in general, aside from what we already feel ourselves, I'm talking just astrology, is the fact that the planet of unpredictability is in this 6th house, but by birth, he's got Uranus in the health house at 2 degrees of Gemini. So this conjunction is not only impacting him through the 15th, but then when Mars moves on and gets closer and closer to 2 degrees of Gemini, he'll have Mars exactly conjunct his natal Uranus in the 6th house. So that leads me to believe that if something's going to happen with this individual health-wise, it might be more likely over the next couple of weeks, whatever it is that's unfolding. It could potentially manifest now and could benefit someone else, catch my drift, but it might be over the course of a couple of weeks. And then let's not forget, Uranus is going to get to 27 degrees 1 month from now. On August 7th, Uranus will be at 27 degrees opposite his sun, houses 6 and 12. How interesting, right? Furthering that, when we go back to the 15th, to the day of the exact alignment of Mars, Uranus, and Agol, Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini is pretty close to his Saturn at 9 degrees of Gemini. Jupiter conjunct Saturn in that 7th house of others. Now, if you recall, our other friend here had Jupiter aligned with Uranus. So something is popping off here, okay? Something deeper than what we know and or expect. It's funny, it's 555 as I am looking at the clock, and I normally don't really notice numbers, but that's interesting to me as well because 5s indicate fluctuating circumstances and change. And typically that change is chaotic at first until the dust settles, which is very, very descriptive of Uranus energy. Furthermore, the sun is at 23 degrees of Cancer, approaching Joe's Jupiter at 25 degrees of Cancer in the 8th house. So the sun conjunct Jupiter in the 8th house. Sun conjunct Jupiter can be a lovely energy, but remember, everything has a shadow side, okay? So the sun conjunct Jupiter is also going to be an expansive energy, and it could have something to do, again, the 8th house is something that's hidden. So again, something coming to light. It could have to do with this person's doings. It could have to do with their health. I don't know. I mean, we're going to see. But all of this screams to me that I think we might all think it's going one way and then it ends up going in a totally different direction. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be interesting to see what plays out for these two individuals over these next couple of weeks. And by the way, the South Node in Libra recently backed into his 10th house of career, public image, standing, fame, reputation, all of that. And the South Node is a point that's all about release, letting go, shedding. So I don't know. South Node, letting go of this public image. North Node in the 4th house, that's more private, moving towards something more private. The 4th house is literally home. Okay, let's not deny the facts that this individual is, it seems as though they're publicly having some issues and that maybe they can't be publicly out there doing what they've been doing because it's just not working, at least maybe not the way they're expecting it to. Now, I decided to go one step further and pull up the progress charts. So again, I'm not making this a whole astrology lesson, but for those that might not know, progress charts, think of it this way. The planets progress a degree, a year, or a month, let's just say, for every day that you're alive on this earth. So again, your chart does not change, but because the progress planets move so slowly, when they trigger something in the birth chart and with ongoing transits, energy kicks off. This is where we can see things happen. And when looking at progressions, you always want to focus on the progressed moon because that shifts signs every 2.5 years. It moves roughly 1 degree per month. So even though the moon is the fastest moving body in the sky, when you're dealing with progressions, it's still slower, but it's still the fastest moving body by progression. So anyway, I hope that's not too confusing. So in Biden's chart, we see right now as we speak that the moon is at 28 degrees of Aries. So he is getting ready for new progression because when that moon hits the 29th degree, the energy of the next sign starts to ramp up. We start to feel that. And what's really fascinating is that his progressed moon is going to enter the sign of Taurus. His moon is at 0 degrees of Taurus. So this is what I call the homecoming. This is the initiation of a brand new 28-year cycle. It's the wrap up of a 28, 29-year cycle. And now the progressed moon is coming home. It's coming back to where it was at this person's birth by exact minute and degree. And that will be in September. His progressed moon will be at 0 degrees and 59 minutes of Taurus. And his natal moon's at 0:59 of Taurus. So I don't know. I'm really feeling like something massive will shift for this individual before then, as we're building up towards that, homecoming, which, we can look at homecoming from many different ways, right? And I don't want to predict anything, but I'm just saying, this is just really interesting stuff. The progressed moon is now also squaring transiting Venus in his 8th house. Again, something hidden. It's Venus and the moon, so it can involve feminine energies in his life. It can involve other people that he's connected to, secrets being withheld from him. There's so many different ways this can play out. And the progressed moon is actually in an inconjunct to his Sun, Venus conjunction over here in Scorpio. So again, things are not clear. Certainly not for him, and certainly not for those around him or the circumstances around him. I'm just going to stop this here. Now let's do the same thing for Trump, since I just thought to do that. So again, the outer wheel is his progressed chart. So he's at 5 degrees. He's about 5 months and a few days into a Scorpio moon progression. So again, secrets, 3rd house is communication, things coming out into the light, things being spoken about. Maybe he's the one revealing secrets, who knows? Or secrets are being revealed about him. We don't know. Scorpio, the sign of secrets. And he's just entered this progressed moon not too long ago. So he's got another year and a half or so of this strong Scorpio energy. And by the way, when your progressed moon is in a specific sign, you tend to be involved in situations that have to do with individuals of that sign or of that energy. So we know from looking at that last chart that that individual has quite a bit of Scorpio, and his progressed moon is Scorpio. Again, these are just threads that contribute to the knitting of the whole blanket. Catch my drift? The progressed moon in Scorpio has just passed a square to Pluto in his health house. I don't know if he had any previous health issues. I haven't really been following, but there definitely have been changes to his everyday transformation, the death of the old, things being taken away, power being stripped away. We saw that happening over the last 5 months with this individual, right? Now, even more interesting is that this progressed moon, it's at 5 degrees of Scorpio right now. His natal Pluto is at 10 degrees of Leo. So the progressed moon just passed transiting Pluto, okay, by a square aspect. And it's approaching a square to his natal Pluto in the 12th. Again, this is, Pluto, the moon, Scorpio. This is, again, about what's hidden. This can also be about health. This can be our physical vessel. But more than that, this can be the stripping away of power, disempowerment. And it could be unexpected. Again, this is all about, Pluto is about stripping away the old to make way for the new. We don't know which way this is going to go yet, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop this here. I could obviously keep going, but I'm not going to. I just want to give this disclaimer again. I am not a political astrologer. I do not use astrology publicly for political reasons. I will look at birth charts of those in positions of power. I will do that on my own time, especially for teaching purposes, just to put context to the current energies, to what is going on, or to someone's personality, which is kind of like what we just did. But it's especially interesting when we look at what is going on in the sky, what is going on with astrology, and then we look at how that could be very prevalent in specific birth charts. And this is why some people will be impacted by energies where other people are not. When we add progressions on top of transits is another layer. Listen, astrology is just like one big onion. You pull back one layer, there's always another layer. So again, my disclaimer, I did this in the most objective and neutral way possible, which isn't really hard for me to do. I think I did a pretty good job of turning off my psychic hat. Maybe not. We'll soon find out, right? But anyway, I hope that gave you something to chew on. It'll be really interesting to see the way that things play out over the next couple of weeks. Again, personally speaking, just take really good care of yourselves. Understand that we cannot control what goes on out there. We can only control what goes on in here. So vibe on the good. Try and stay in the vibration of love and not fear. Not always an easy thing to do. So we have to consciously train ourselves to do that. When we go into those negative zones, try to reframe it to a positive one. Catch yourself in those moments. All right, take really good care. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also subscribe to my newsletter. Take good care. Bye.